Well, we're going to do a review here on the Cold Steel AD-10, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with, as it's a pretty popular knife model here. So the AD-10 is basically it's a clone or copy, not clone, but a true replica of Andrew Demko's custom AD-10, I guess. But made by Cold Steel, and Andrew Demko is one of their main knife designers. So this one obviously, is a whole lot more accessible price-wise than the actual custom, but offers you more or less, a knife that duplicates its performance. Next to some minor differences in maybe steel options and construction and stuff like that. So the knife itself has a 3.5-inch blade. Overall length is 8 3/4 inches. Handle length is 5 1/4 inches. The weight is 6.9 ounces. The blade steel is S35 VN, and the stock thickness on that blade steel, according to the box, is 3.8 millimeters. So I handled one of these before, a number of years ago, and I remembered it being really nice, but to be honest with you, didn't remember it being this nice. For a production folder, this is really, really well done. The fit and finish on it is absolutely excellent. Blade design, like the Formax, is, pretty stout. Spear point blade, very functional and usable. The handle on this is nice, comfortable, a little bit smaller, obviously, than the Formax. So I do notice my hand being a little bit more cramped in between here on the handle scales. Hopefully I'm getting that all on the camera in the view here. So I do notice the handle size being less comfortable than the Formax, which is pretty much my daily carry pocket folder almost exclusively. If any of you have watched my videos on it, you know how much I like that knife. I got quite a number of different folders, but for a very good reason. I go back to the Formax. It's just hard to beat. Not hard to beat. It's pretty much unbeatable for me. But this is a knife that I think for many would be that knife for them, especially if you have smaller hands or not wanting to carry around a knife that's the size of the Formax. This is a very, very well made, perfectly executed production version of a custom knife. Now the scales, of course, are G10. I've seen some videos where they talk about the liners being stainless steel. They're not, they're aluminum, but it's high grade aluminum. I don't know what the actual grade of aluminum it is, but it's certainly not going to be an issue for durability or strength. I mean, I haven't used this knife yet, obviously, but you get a pretty good feel for something when you pick it up and feel the heft of it, look at the way it's constructed. You don't get a real good idea as far as pin size, as far as your pivot pin, but what you can tell right away, obviously, is the size of the stop pin there for the triad lock, and it's pretty thick, right? So that gives you a pretty good indication of the inherent strength of the blade. So it's got what looks like G10 back spacer there, and glass breaker or whatever, skull breaker, but full flat grind on these. They used to be hollow ground, but the current ones are flat grind. I'm looking at the profile here. It is definitely flat ground. I mean, you can always feel that right away too. Sometimes you get a really, really shallow hollow grind that isn't really perceptible to the eye, but as soon as you go like that with it, you can feel it. So good blade geometry on it, cutting performance. You can tell by the edge of the secondary bevel there that it's not that thick, but I haven't measured it. My guess would be that it's, 20 thou sort of thing. But in comparison to the 4MAX, which is, like I said, my favorite folder, no question about it for me, even after getting this, that the 4MAX is my favorite. You can see the size difference. Now the handle is one of the biggest things that you notice between the two of these, besides the weight and the overall size. But the handle comfort for me is not cramped at all. So between these points here, I really like that extra length in the handle, and notice it a lot. So when in use, you definitely feel the difference. Just picking this one up. The other thing is the balance. So this is more of a neutral balance right here, whereas the 4MAX definitely a little more blade heavy. So the balance point on it is just right there, which when it's in your hand, depending on where you're holding it because of the length of the handle, can have more of a weight forward feel. So this thing actually chops pretty good. But I'm going on a tangent here about, like I said, my favorite folder. So this blade is definitely more compact, better suited for everyday sort of carry stuff. I think for most people it's more practical. Offers, premium steel, S35 VN, which is a good steel. I like it. I don't like S30V that much. I haven't had anything but good luck with my S35 VN blades. I don't have that many of them, but I've got a couple of them, a couple of Bark Rivers and stuff, and they're actually quite good. This will be my first folder that I can think of right now that is in that steel, but I really like it. Oh, and then this knife too is, very similar to the Ultimate Hunter, which probably should be looked at side by side for people that are interested in these two blades. So main thing you'll notice when you pick up this knife versus the AD-10 is the heft. This Ultimate Hunter is a very light feeling knife as far as, in your hand. The weight difference between these two blades is probably a couple of ounces, probably 3 ounces, I would guess. I don't have the box to look up the actual specs, but they're linerless, but they still share the triad lock, and they're well constructed and very sturdy feeling. Like, I mean, there's no way you would find that this blade would leave you lacking strength wise. So probably people that would be looking at this knife would want to look at this knife as well, as an option. It's easier to carry in the pocket. Same G10 texture. It looks a little different because this one's been used quite a bit and carried a lot, so it's a little more worn in, but I would say that they have the absolute same handle texture. One nice thing you'll notice about these ones, obviously, is a little smoother in there for liner. I'm noticing right now just that the edge here is rough. Don't notice it when I'm holding the knife, but you can definitely feel that. I notice when I'm gripping the knife that this pocket clip is more noticeable in my hand. I can grip it, and you can see there I'm getting indents on my hand from it, just because of the length of the handle being a little bit smaller. When I grab this, I do not get that. I know it's there, but I do not feel it at all. Well, I mean, I don't feel, I really actually don't. I don't feel it. I can feel a little bit when I'm repositioning the handle, like going like this a little bit. So pocket clip is more noticeable on this and uncomfortable. Pocket clip on this, same thing. Definitely notice it. It's not an issue, but I think pocket clip on this one is more noticeable because the length of the handle puts the end of the handle right into my palm, and that's where I find the issue with some of these knives that have shorter length handles, whereas the 4MAX don't get that, and that sort of saber grip. So I find that this knife is, for me, the best. So I guess, you know, starting this video, trying to make it about the AD-10, but I'm going off on tangents about other knives, and I'm not going to stop there. This here is the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout, which is the budget version of the real 4MAX, which is also Andrew Demko's design, and he makes a full custom version of it. But as you have probably seen, there's lots of videos comparing them, but functionally, you know, it's very similar. There are differences in construction and inherent strength and steel quality, but if handle size is something that you're thinking might be an issue for you, the 4MAX Scout is another option, you know, and not, you know, like a $400 option, right? The main difference between these two knives really comes down to blade steel as far as quality of materials, right? This blade has AD-10 steel, whereas this one is S35VN, which is a powdered metallurgical steel, fairly high alloy content. You know, I think it might be a little bit tougher than AD-10, but maybe not. What it is definitely more wear resistant. Stain resistance, probably similar. I'd have to look at the actual chemistry and see what the carbon content is and chromium content and all that fun stuff, but carbon content on S35VN I think is around 1% or something like that, or well, no, 1.7%. I don't know what the hell the specs are on it. I have to look them up, but it's way higher than this. This is about 1.1. If I recall, I was looking up the specs recently because AD-10 is sort of an equivalent to 440C, so it's a good good quality steel, and it's been a good steel. Like it's you know, holding a reasonably good edge on it. You know, for all intended purposes, it's or intents and purposes, it's you know, a good quality steel, and it's been well done by Cold Steel. So I don't know how much better S35VN would be than their AD-10. There's no question that the CPM 20 CV in this particular 4MAX is really good. Like it's really good. I've got some other blades in CPM 20 CV, and subjectively this is like done better as far as their heat treat is concerned. I've been really happy with that knife. Like no matter what, this is going to be my go-to pocket knife. I rotate it out only when I'm trying to test another knife. I can't help but go back to it. I miss it. And for instance, between these two, the main noticeable difference is the G10 scale. So that smooth G10 is a really noticeable thing when it's in your pocket and just in, you know, use, getting it, you know, pulling it out of your pocket, putting it in your pocket. You really notice the grippiness of this stuff, which is their Grivery or whatever the heck they call it. It's just basically polymer or whatever, not a G10. So going back to the AD-10, I like the fact that the G10 on this is quite a bit smoother than that 4MAX Scout. It's not quite as smooth as this US made 4MAX. Will that be something that you notice like I do between the 4MAX Scout and the real 4MAX? Probably not, because I've carried this one, and although I can tell the difference, it doesn't, you know, it's not significant enough that it is something that I even think about when I'm, you know, carrying that knife versus carrying that knife, which is, you know, quite grippy. It's not quite as grippy as, say, the Talwar that has that textured G10, highly textured, I guess. So yeah, it's quite a nice knife. Construction wise, the pivot pin looks to be a little bit larger. The stop pin looks to be about the same as the Ultimate Hunter. stock thickness, slightly thicker on the AD-10. Now this is an older Ultimate Hunter. It's the Carpenter Steel's XHP, which in my opinion is probably the better of these two steels. I'm saying that subjectively because I haven't tested this obviously, but in my experience with this knife, I've been exceptionally impressed with that steel. Just to the point where I almost lost sleep when they transitioned over to S35VN because I wanted to get some other knives in it, but Carpenter Steel stopped offering steel to all of the knife industry. So this wasn't a choice that was made by Cold Steel, it was made for them like it was for everybody else. So that being said, there's probably no discernible difference for us as users between S35VN done by Cold Steel and the XHP. How will that play out in the future now that Cold Steel's been bought out by what the hell is it called? GS M Outdoors or whatever the hell the name is of the company, which was depressing to hear. I'm not sure if any of you guys actually heard or watched the video that was on Cold Steel's website where Lynn Thompson there addressed it. Looked like a bloody hostage video to me. You know, if there was an Emmy to be handed out on best hostage video, I think that would win it. You know, I was left with the impression that he was reading from a script and he was being told in the background, don't worry, read your lines, your family will be safe. So, I don't know. I have no idea where the company is headed. All I know is that right now is the time to buy a knife from Cold Steel that you want before they either don't make them anymore or they cut costs and quality to the point where they aren't what they are right now, because their quality is exceptional. I don't care what anybody says. Naysayers don't like Cold Steel because of their marketing or any other that nonsense. I don't give a shit because they make a hell of a good product. Everything that I've ever had from them has been, you know, exceptional as far as their performance for the price and what you're getting and what they say you're gonna get. Can't say anything bad about them. So I just hope that continues to be the case with them, because as we all know, that's not usually the case. All you have to do is look at Marlin and Remington / Freedom Arms buying them out, everything going to hell in a handbag back in 2008, and the whole Remlin fiasco, and Remingtons that, you know, have gone to shit. I wouldn't buy one, that's for damn sure. And Marlin, I have no idea what they're like now, but I've had a couple of experiences with them trying to buy new Remlins, and they weren't good. So yeah, quality doesn't usually stay the same when a company whose owner has been responsible for the running of that company and, you know, making sure that the quality of their product is what it is and is what made the company great all along, because his name has been attached to it. He's, you know, the face man when it comes to that company. So if Cold Steel sold shit products, you know, it's going to reflect directly on him. And now that he's sold that company, you know, that incentive that was riding, you know, on the quality of their products isn't there, because he's not the owner of the company anymore. So I like to be optimistic and look at things as though the glass is half full, but I don't think the chances are that Cold Steel is going to be the same company now. Not to mention, you know, the economic crap that's going on with, you know, everything in the world. So I would definitely recommend to you guys that are on the fence about getting, well, any of these knives. If you can get them, grab them. I know these are a little more readily available, and these are a little more readily available. You're not going to find these, not that I can see anyways, You're probably not going to find these even available new. Find them on the secondary market, but certainly there's some of these available, and some of these available in the S35 VN version. So yeah, that's basically where I've ended up with this video, is that if you like these knives, don't think about them too much, just go buy them, because you're probably, you know, honestly not going to get the chance to do it later on, and you're not going to regret any of these, no matter what. I mean, which one you choose, you know, be it one of these if you can find it, definitely one of these. Like, you can't go wrong with any of them. So it's splitting hairs, you know, little things like feeling that pocket clip. For me, yeah, I can feel it. I guarantee you that if I didn't have this, I would love this knife. This would be hands down, out of my other folders, my favorite folder for everyday sort of carrying in my pocket. This one is, you know, a knife that really is a hunting knife for me. Now, no question about it, it's a fantastic EDC knife. I don't really like using that term, because it seems like a made-up term. I think you should be carrying a knife every day, all the time. If you caught without a knife, it's like, you know, what the hell are you doing? You're no self-respecting person if you don't have a knife on you, in my opinion, because they are very useful tools. Yeah, it's like going out of your house without the wallet in your pocket, or your keys for your car, or your shirt on your back. Or, you know, if you wear a watch, going out of the house and taking your watch off and not putting it on, you should feel like you're naked if you don't have one in your pocket. So, yeah, can't go wrong with that as an everyday carry knife, if that's the term you want to use for it. Out of these two, what would I choose? Well, this is a more substantial knife, probably stronger. Whether it's strong enough to the point where you're going to notice it and actually see that difference, unless you're prying on things like laterally and using a knife like it shouldn't be used, I can't foresee you know, a situation where you're going to be like, this knife isn't strong enough, but this one is. But that being said, this one having full liners, it's going to be stronger. It's going to have a lot more lateral strength to the blade if you were to pry with it or do something stupid, because that is what it is. You're being stupid. You know, you need a pry bar, use a pry bar. But this thing's substantially overbuilt, just like the 4MAX. I can't see how you would gain anything in strength in real world circumstances by going to, you know, full titanium liners, upgrading to 20 CV steel. Now, if they offered that, would I like one? Yeah, but you definitely don't need it. So this is a fine knife that anyone that likes knives like this would be pleased to own. So with that being said, I guess the, you know, main thing I would hope that you take out of this video is that if you think you like this knife and you think you might want to buy it, go buy it. I know DLT Trading and Knives Ship Free, I believe, have these. I didn't buy that one from there because of the fact that I'm in Canada and folders are becoming somewhat difficult to get through the border sometimes, depending on who screens them. Even though there's nothing illegal about them, I just I tend to order these locally. So anyways, that's that. Yeah, what can I say? It's a winner. I see why everybody loves this knife. Now, not everybody has both of these to compare, but if this is what you got and you don't have a 4MAX, you're not going to be looking at this knife and finding anything critical about it. I can't see how you could. Fit and finish on it is just, it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It's silky smooth. Lockup is perfect. Blade alignment is perfect. I mean, honestly, if you looked at it, the only thing I could see that jumped out at me, and I looked at this thing really closely, is that the secondary bevel on this side is ever so slightly than that side when you look at it from above at the tip. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. Makes no difference to the functioning of the knife. And the minute you sharpen it, I guarantee you that you're going to change that and probably make it so that it's more noticeable. But plunge lines, everything on it is, you know, done to machine standards. So you're not gonna be able to pick this thing apart for construction, like flaws or anything. Like it's just, and it's a good knife, good hunting knife too. I mean, heck, the Ultimate Hunter might not be the Ultimate Hunter for some. The main difference is the width of the blade. This has got a wider blade, so for hunting, that's better in my opinion. But this is a very, very well done, well made, and done with premium materials. Try and get up close here for you guys, but yeah, no, it's a heck of a knife. Now can you? You can too. And that's what gets you in trouble with the good old border guys, because they want to look at this and find out whether you can gravity drop it, whatever the hell nonsense they call it, which it's not hard to do. I mean, tighten the pivot up, won't do that, but so anyways, I hope you guys liked the video, and if you like this knife, go buy it. Thanks for watching.